Yo, what's happening, y'all? It's me coming at you again with another video. All right, this time I want to talk about this little beef that's been brewing for the last few days between Malik Scott and Anthony Joshua. Now, some of you may have caught on to this, but I believe that most of you don't. So I thought I'd bring this into light here. Now, this article on Boxing News 24, shout out to them. I wanted to read the title of this article. Now, the title is called Malik Scott. Anthony Joshua is a spoiled, insecure black David Price. Okay, now, I'm going to read you some of the quotes that was made by Scott, but before I do that, I'm going to read you the quotes that was made by the author here, who published this article. Now, it's by Scott Guilfoyle, I'm sorry. Quote, heavyweight Malik Scott does not think too much of British Commonwealth heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, who's 15-0 with 15 KOs, who sees him as a spoiled, insecure brat who sees him as a black version of David Price. Now, Scott doesn't quite say why he sees the 6'6" Joshua as another David Price, but it's possible that he might be referring to the fact that Joshua struggled in a sparring session when the two fighters were in against former heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko training camp a couple years ago. Now, Scott is not too happy with Joshua because the British fighter Joshua chose not to shake his hand after he congratulated him following his seventh round stoppage win over nemesis Dillian Whyte earlier this month in the O2 Arena in London. Now, Scott had predicted that Whyte would beat Joshua, and obviously that prediction didn't come into fruition. But however, I would like to read some of the quotes that Scott made about Joshua. He said here, quote, I see a lot of loopholes and insecurity in him, Scott said to Fight Hype. Now, I extended my hand to congratulate him on his job well done, and he kind of rejected my gesture and said that he was upset with me for basically backing Whyte to beat him. And then I think it's just another fucking, well, it's an explicit remark, but I'm just going to paraphrase what he says here. I think it's just fucking pathetic for another man to get mad at me for another man for picking or backing his comrade to win. Now, I'm going to leave it at there. I'm going to add my 2 cents to this whole beef right here. I think this all started, or this beef brewed, when of course Malik Scott opted to assist Dillian Whyte in his training camp in his efforts to get him prepared to get him prepared against Anthony Joshua. Now, apparently, you guys don't know, these two go way back. They're friends. They're great friends. And obviously, when Scott opted to help out Whyte in his training camp, that pissed off Joshua. He felt that was betrayal right there on his part to do that. You know, as a buddy, why would you go behind my back and do something like that? You know, me and this guy are arch rivals. We're nemesis. We have beef with each other. Why would you going to aid and abet an enemy right there? All right. Why are you going to assist him in trying to, in a fight against me? You know, and I can understand where Joshua was coming from because this is more a personal level. This is not on a professional level. Now, Scott want to treat this on a professional level because obviously he wants to get paid. Obviously, I think sometimes there's loyalty more than just money, in my opinion. Okay. Now, from a personal standpoint, I think Scott was in the wrong there to do that. All right. Now, if he thought he did this on a professional standpoint, he think this is all just business. All right, that's his prerogative to think that way. But from a personal standpoint, I think that was wrong. All right, for him to go to an enemy's training camp and get him prepared for the fight against one of your best friends, and I think that's totally wrong right there. Now, to me, on the other hand, I think that given that what Malik Scott saw that night in the fight between Joshua and Whyte, he definitely said that there's a lot of loopholes that he can exploit if they were to fight. So it's an indication that he's probably trying to set himself up in the fight against Anthony Joshua. I mean, who knows? That could be possible. Now, if I had to pick a winner between Joshua and Whyte, I would give the winner to Scott because Scott is more of the boxer punch. I mean, he's not a big puncher, but he can give you angles and a very awkward style to fight against. So obviously, to beat Malik Scott, you have to get him with a good shot, and we saw that exploited in the Tony Thompson fight. And of course, in the Deontay Wilder fight, that brown paper bag bullshit. I mean, I have to bring that up. I mean, I'm not with that shit at all, man. I mean, real talk. I mean, you know, I know that was long ago, but still. And obviously, he took a dive in that fight. I don't give a fuck what anybody say, but that was a dive, no question about it. But uh, I know it seems like Malik Scott's had a lot to say lately. I mean, I know he's had a lot to say about Anthony Joshua, but excuse me, but he's also had a lot to say about David Haye. Now, David Haye recently came out and he's really trying to lobby himself up to fight Anthony Joshua. And at this point, he is looking past his opponent, Mark Demori. But obviously, when a fighter looks past his opponent, that usually turns out to be a big mistake. And I'm not saying Demori could upset David Haye. What I'm saying is don't overlook your opponent, because you're going to end up in a position like Vernon Forrest did against Ricardo Mayorga when he overlooked Mayorga, and Edison Miranda when he overlooked Kevin Pavlik, because he was solely focused on the champion Jermaine Taylor at that time. So, I mean, anyhow, that's all I had to say. I know I went off topic a little bit here, but I mean, it's interesting to say that for Scott to say that Anthony Joshua is acting like a spoiled brat and insecure black David Price. I mean, obviously, I never seen any insecurities in David Price, but I mean, if that's not if that's true, if I'm wrong here, please let me know in the comment section below. All right, about that. But speaking of David Price, it has reported that he is going to resume his career after Erkin Tepper had tested positive for their fight for a banned substance, and of course, Erkin Tepper is likely will be facing a 2-year ban from boxing, and their fight has been ruled a no contest. So, with that said, David Price's record now is 19-2 with 1 no contest. So, anyhow, let me know what you think about this beef between Malik Scott and Anthony Joshua. Now, if they were to fight, who would win? And let me know why in the comment section. Care to comment, subscribe, share, signing off. Peace.